Hello, happy Saturday. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. How are you guys doing today? Did you have a good Saturday? For those of you whose Saturday is at the end. I know some of you, it's evening time. Hi, Jan. You're ready. Me too, kind of. I gotta get some more paper. I've been trying to adjust the camera so you have more viewing space of the surface here. Hi, Jill. Hello, how's it going? Did a few of you probably said something before I saw the chat, so I haven't only seen Jan and Jill's comments so far. I feel like yesterday was a really great stream. It was really fun to do all those pattern alterations. Everyone, that's awesome. I wasn't sure if you were saying hi to Veronica, who sometimes joins us as well. Autocorrect, man. It's like, it's a frenemy. Hello, Malin. Yeah, I feel like I thought of a lot of other things we could have covered yesterday, and I feel like I forgot to finish on a couple of things, so we'll get back to them. I'm so glad. Yeah, me too. I love doing that. I would do more pattern drafting streams if everyone likes that. Hi, Margaret. Welcome. Yeah, absolutely, Jan. I felt like I didn't do a great job of showing how you do the fly, but it seems so much harder, and then when you do it, it's like so little to say. I didn't know. But if you have a pair of pants that is a home sewing pattern and you like the fly front of it, you can just transfer it exactly like that. And then just don't sew the zipper on the side. So it's pretty straightforward. I only showed you the one I did because I have a video on how to sew that one too, just in case you're like, wait, everything I have is this other zipper fly. So, hi, Anne. Hi. Oh, I thought that Melinda's new. Oh, nice. Summer's come back. You had a nice chatty talk with your daughter. I love those. Mine's 16 and a half, so. Bonjour. Or bonsoir. Yeah, that was awesome. I really loved it. So, I'm gonna have to be honest with you guys. This is gonna sound like a humble brag, but I don't have a whole lot of ready-to-wear clothes left in my closet. And so I had to kind of look through my fall things, and I found a button-up shirt, and I never got to shorts this summer, so I'm gonna make some shorts today. So I tried to pick a top and a bottom that had lots of seams on them, so it would be harder and you could kind of get the gist of it. Yeah, so you got the gist. Awesome. Yeah. Welcome. Wait, I can't see the name. Hi, Snappy Stitches. Hello to Vancouver. What name is that? Let me check out my other thing here. You know, I need to change the font color because I can't even read it myself. Not good. Patty, welcome. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers this week, and I think it's because I did an advertisement on the Love to Sew podcast. So if you're coming from there, welcome. There's a bunch of people here that found me through Love to Sew from the winter, and I'm really glad you're here. It's a really different experience, and you can ask me questions. You can say, why are you doing it that way? I don't like the way you're doing that. You can say I'm doing it wrong, and I'll explain why I do it that way. I'm pretty low-key and casual about how I do things. I've been doing this a really long time, even though I'm pretty young for that. And I really like it. So I don't really feel like there's one right way to do a lot of things. You don't have any match ready to wear that you want to copy? Yeah, right, Malin? Exactly. Hi, Ida. Yeah, so, and then I saw Hearts Fabric did a dedicated newsletter for my stream, which was super nice and generous of them. And so if you found me through Hearts Fabric, welcome. Fellow Californians. I'm not too far from you if you shop local at Hearts. So, hi, Polly. How's it going? So my name is Sarami, which is like Jeremy, but with an S-A rather than a J-E. My mom wanted Sarah. My father wanted Emily. This is how the story goes. I'm not sure it's actually accurate anymore, but they couldn't decide between Sarah and Emily, and that's how I got my name. And I don't care if you misspell it at all. I'm way past that. And let's see, I went to design school right out of high school. I went to FITM in LA, which is the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising. I studied design with a production emphasis. I really was interested in the engineering and pattern drafting side. And that's what I went into the garment industry for. Not enough people want to be pattern drafters. And if you're a designer that knows how to do the pattern drafting, you have a better shot at getting the job. Any tips out there for those folks that want to do that? Let's see, I worked in the outerwear industry, children's wear, women's wear. I did men's as well. And yeah, I like it. I like the engineering side of it. So there's and I feel like a lot of it is transferable to the home sew world. But you will see conflicting things I say compared to what the home sewing pattern drafting tips and techniques are. That's not to say that they're wrong at all. I love those techniques, and sometimes they work better because it's custom to you, and that's way more important. Hi, Lexi. That was an awesome newsletter you guys did, Lexi. Thank you. I saw Danny and Allison put that together. I couldn't even reply to the email asking for information. I've been so busy. 5 streams a week, you guys, is a lot of work. So next week we go back to the normal schedule, 3 streams a week. I'll cut something out and then we'll sew it. But I'm already second guessing that because I'm making a pair of jeans I've never made before. And I'm like, oh, I need to do a muslin. We need to talk about fit. Do I just speed sew them or do we drag it out? You know, drag it out meaning we just add a couple of sewing sessions. So we'll chat about that and see what you guys want to do. So today I almost forgot to pick clothes out of my closet to copy today, and I did have trouble finding some things. I didn't want to just pick a t-shirt. I know you can do that. You know, I know that if you were really, really wanting to copy your t-shirt, you could muddle through it even if you've never seen me before. So I really wanted to do something that was a little more technical so that you can see sometimes how difficult it is to transfer some of those specialty areas, you know. Millennia wants the, yeah, I know. See the fitting the jeans. You know what we need is we need a dress form. Because I can't fit them on me and show you what's going on. Because I can't point at it, you know. And having someone come here and wear an ill-fitting garment on camera, I'm not quite there that I think I could ask someone and they'd be like, sure, I'll do that. So we got to get there. But I am seriously considering a dress form, and that would be great because I can mimic fit issues on there, and then we can be like, look, this is what happens. Really, like draping something would be great, but the thing is, everybody can't buy a dress form. Like, yeah, I mean, I could just do that, but at the same time, it's not realistic for most home sewing studios, right? A lot of us are cutting and sewing things in our dining room, right? Let alone having a specific table to cut things out at. Having a dress form is definitely gilding the lily, right? Really, Eliza, that would be awesome. Yeah, so thanks for the volunteer. That'd be awesome. So I'm also, just so you guys know, I stream live on Twitch and YouTube. If you want to chat with us, and we really want you to, even if you just say hi, you need to create an account on YouTube, which is called a channel. Doesn't mean you have to start streaming video, don't worry. That's just their name for it. And then you can chat in the chat window. And commenting on a video is different than chatting with us live. If it isn't live, you can fast forward, rewind, pause, you know, things like that. On Twitch is another live streaming platform. There's a few of them out there now, and I came to streaming through Twitch because I like to watch gaming streams. I know, it's kind of crazy, but I do. And the benefits of Twitch is that you can zoom in on the video. There's less delay between what I'm saying and when you're seeing it. Because sometimes I'll ask you a question, I have to wait like a minute for you guys to answer. Like, is this lighting okay? And then I've moved on. So Twitch is a little more responsive. The thing with Twitch is that you can't keep a cache of uploaded videos on there forever. So the library of my videos exists on YouTube. But if you're looking for something like, oh, how she made the Archer button up, go to my website. I'm not soliciting anything from you on there. It's literally just a place to organize all my projects, and it's so.live is the web address. And then you can look at all the projects we've made, and all the links to the videos for those projects are in a nice little tidy spot in one area. So you can find part 1, part 2, the cutting, all that. And if I've made it more than once, it'll have like this round and that round. And then there's photos of me wearing it. I'm super freaking awkward in these photos, but I just kind of try and keep it real with you guys. So that is a really great place to find, because YouTube is really difficult to navigate, and I totally understand that, and I completely agree. That's why I really like Twitch, but Twitch is just solely devoted to live streaming. There are some of my videos on there. So the other really interesting thing about Twitch, if you are on there and you're new to it, is you can do something called clip it. So there's a little icon in the bottom right hand corner of the video, and it looks like those little director's things, like cut, like that. So if you click that, it will clip the video, and it'll pop up a couple windows, and then you'll get 30 or 40 seconds of what I just did. So you can re-watch it and everything. I will be notified if you clip it, but it's no big deal. I don't really care. And then you can look at it over and over. If you're like, I want to see that over and over again, you can say clip it. So that's a little bit of more of a primer on Twitch. But most of you are on YouTube, and it will look like I'm talking to imaginary people if you are on Twitch. And I'm talking to people on YouTube. We are Kits. Kits is on Twitch. Yeah, I was just telling him how to do Twitch clipping. You can confirm. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a really handy tool. I mean, obviously gamers are using it for their like boasts, right? Or their fails. They're like, please chat, clip that. And then they can go back and look at it and post it on Instagram or whatever, or Twitter. So that's really what that's for them, I think. But it is a really handy tool. All right, so let's get to it. So, I'm all about keeping your clothes for as long as possible, mending them, using them, making sure that they're really, versatile pieces. But at some point, sometimes these clothes are just kind of done. Before they get to that point, it's good to copy your clothes before they get so tired that, like those pants, I'm just going to say it, you guys, those pants could be fitting really, really well because they're stretched out in all the right places, right? I have those because I've tried copying those pants before, and I'm like, how come these didn't turn out the same? And it's because they're not kind of broken in the way you have them broken in. Like you can try and mimic that by copying it. You're like, okay, well, I'm copying a stretched out piece of fabric. It should transfer. But there's just something about, like curves and things like that, that the fabric molds to your body a little bit, So you aren't going to probably copy some of these things with lots of details perfectly the first time. You're still going to have to do a muslin. Don't think your favorite garment failed you when you copied it. It could be literally just minor alterations you need to make to the pattern, or a different fabric to make it in. Because finding the fabrics that we love our garments in is half the battle. It's like 85% of the battle. So try and find stores that specialize in garment fabrics, like Hearts Fabric. That's a really great source for finding fabrics that are garment specific, because that is 80% of the battle, and then you're there. So it is so hard to find apparel fabric. And I highly recommend finding somewhere that's kind of close to you, because fabric can be kind of expensive. Because there's some really great international sources, but I try and stick to something in my own country because it's cheaper to ship. That's tough. While I'm saying that, is there any Australians here? Because someone's looking for good serger thread. So, and I know you can just, I use Maxi Lock because that's what was recommended to me. I think it's a pretty standard issue serger thread. I haven't bought serger thread in a really long time because I just have a stockpile of cones from chicken boots. Not technically serger thread, it's a little too thick, but I use it. I usually just use white. It's even worse. I just use white for everything. Cream, actually. Like my white Mellow Low shirt that I just made. I sewed that in cream thread. I'm not super proud of it, but hey, it's done. Right? All right, so this is a shirt that my husband bought for me, actually, by a company called Cabby. It's Looks like that, C-A-B-I. The first 2 letters are capitalized, the last 2 letters aren't. And this is a really great company. They're really interesting in that they, everyone knows what Tupperware is, right? How does that have to do with this? This is a clothing line that is only sold in like a home situation. So a rep comes, shows you the line, lets you try on all the clothes, and then you order things and then they deliver it to you. And this is how she keeps the cost of making a really high-end clothing line down. They have a really good pattern drafter there, and they even talk about their pattern drafter when they're doing their sales pitch, which I've never heard before. And the clothes are really good quality. Like all my cabbie things are still almost in just great condition. So yeah, yeah, exactly. Tupperware, the MLM of the food container. Exactly. Yeah. I don't know if Tupperware actually was that MLM? It could have been, huh? I don't think cabbie is, thankfully. They're actually, I think, commission based. Wow, that's such a shame. Tupperware is like the best. Wow, I still have Tupperware from when I was a kid. Dang, all those women out there selling Tupperware. So, I have a few cabbie pieces left because I really like them. In fact, that pattern I grabbed a sleeve from yesterday, I think, or something, that was a cabbie shirt that I copied. So this is just a button-down Oxford, but it does have some darts here. And interestingly, I'm pretty sure, oh no, the dart is there. And then there's this other little shaping panel right here. This is kind of a funny shirt. I mean, it's got all these weird little like things sewn on it. It's not symmetrical in the way it's decorated. Look, I've kind of ruined it. So Pirates is amazing. Yeah, I've switched over to all glass now. Yeah. But I still have like a few things to Tupperware. My mom loved it. All right. So, we have the Archer button up in our library, but this one is it's got some nice shaping, and I really like the way this one fits. It's comfortable. Sleeve's good. Never been a big fan of the gathers, so we'll probably take those out later on. And then I have a pair of shorts that I like. I keep meaning to check if this is, so this is actually a stretch woven. So I'd have to take note of that if I go and buy some fabric. Stretch woven is different than a knit. Okay. So, but these are a pair of shorts I've really liked. I finally broke down and bought shorts last year. So let's start with the pants, since I feel like the pants always get short shrift in our stream. And they're the things that we're the most interested in. Am I right? I've only cut 2 pieces of paper too, so that'll help out. Move this one. So typically in the garment industry, it used to be really bad practice and really common for big companies to try and copy the garment of another company because they was really popular and they really wanted a piece of that pie, right? They were like, oh, let's copy that. And that's what's called a knockoff. Now, and it was kind of like a taboo topic in a way, but everyone knows how to do it. And I never worked anywhere where we did that. I'm trying to think if I worked anywhere. I had a boss who had it done to us. I actually worked at a really interesting company where we were actually locked in the design room. Super dangerous, I know, for fire and all that. But because there were spies and they were trying to get into our design room and to see what we were up to, so they would do any means possible. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? That was like the tip of the iceberg in the fashion industry, and I was definitely at the tip, like nowhere deep into that kind of whole weird world. But he was it's a long story. Anyway, so I'm 30. I'm trying to think if we went. Oh yeah, we did. There was a couple times where we would try and figure out how they did something on one. I remember on one instance, and we ended up not copying it and using it because it would have just been too labor intensive for our line. But it was really good practice. So when garment companies try and do that and it's really expensive and they want to return it, they can't take it apart. But the true way to copy a garment is to take it apart, take out all the threads, iron it, get it back to its original shape, and then copy the pattern pieces. So if you want to sacrifice your garment, you can do that. Oh, awesome, Jilly. You switched to Twitch. Yay. You've got a fellow person there, Kit. Okay, so this is a needle point tracing wheel, and someone said that you can find this on a website called Wawak, WAWAK.com. Nancy found it on Amazon as well, and she ordered one. It's pretty inexpensive. I've had mine for a couple of decades and more. It's really, really sharp. So if you go to Joann Fabrics or a big box store like that and you are looking for a tracing wheel, this is not the same thing. Those tracing wheels have a smoother, not pointy wheel, and you need the points if you don't want to take apart the garment, because what you're going to do is you're going to run it on the seams, transfer the seam using holes onto the paper, and then immediately sketch it out with a pencil or a pen. So that's what I use. So that's why I say you only need is some paper, pens and pencils, tracing wheel, scissors, like normal stuff. This is the only specialized tool. If you do not have this tool, you do not have to go out and buy it. You can use pins. I've been in a pinch where I've had to use pins. And you can use an awl. So you could use a push pin. Anything you want. This is just faster. That's all. Faster and probably a little easier on the surface underneath your paper. So make sure you protect the surface under your paper. So yeah, you can just use an awl and just press that. Yeah, the picture is better on Twitch. Isn't that funny? And if you have a device you can pinch zoom, you can zoom in on things. I do that because I'm like, what is behind that streamer? And I'll zoom in, I'm like, oh, it's a messy unmade bed. Of course it's a messy unmade bed. But sometimes I'm like, what in the ever-loving is going on behind that person, you know? So, hi Louise, how's it going? Welcome, welcome. All right, so I'm going to make this paper a little smaller still, so I have an easier surface. You don't want to put all your paper underneath your pieces if you're going to be transferring these holes, because then the holes will go to the other pieces of paper and you'll be confused. So, so the thing to do, the front is always the easiest on pants. Oh, it's super hot there. I know, that's what Malin said, that summer has returned. Okay, so there's a few ways to go about this. This is when you really start noticing how your ready to wear clothes aren't sewn as well as you think. So on a front like this that lays nice and flat, I would do this from the right side of the fabric. For some things though, you can turn it inside out and do it from the inside, and it'll be a little easier. Just remember to tell yourself, are you looking at it with seam allowance or without seam allowance, right? So just remind yourself and stay consistent, because when you get to things like these pockets, it's really easy to be like, oh, I'll do the pocket perimeter, when the rest of the pattern you've been doing the unseam allowance version, and then you get to the interior and you start doing everything with seam allowance. So just remind yourself of that, because that is definitely where certain errors will pile up and it gets a little hard to get back on track. So what I like to do is do the core of the garment. So what's the core of the garment in this? And it is the front and the back short, right? Hi, Elaine. Oh, awesome. Welcome. I'm so glad you could be here. So on the front, I'm going to get it nice and flat. I'm going to leave some space around it for seam allowance. And I'm also going to draft this or copy this as if the pocket doesn't exist, and then draw in the pocket lines. Because for me, it's just easier to draft in the pockets later and then just stick to the core of the pant, because we know how we like the way this fits, right? So I like to use weights. If you need weights, you can make them using like bean bags and fill them with rice or beans. Just make sure you don't have any, like if you're doing it in like a area like your basement and you have mice, they will find the bean bags and eat the contents, just so you know. It's happened to lots of people I know. I use antique irons. I mean, not only is it cool, which is never what I was going for, the handle's really easy to grab. It's really heavy. They're cost about the same as these, including shipping, like if you were to ship these because of the weight. And I mean, how meta is it to have irons, right? So I have a few of these, and people are always like saying, I found some more irons. I never need any. They usually cost between like $8 and $20 each. That is completely normal range. Just try and get one with no rust. If you have the wood handle, that's super cool. Try and get one with a handle, because I have one that doesn't have the handle. It's just this, and I always break my nails grabbing it like this. So I like the point too, because then I can get right up to the point like this and stay away from the edge. So what I'm trying to do right now is just make sure this all stays nice and flat. I do not want to touch this once I get it on here, right? I get it nice and flat, especially right here. So I'm going to try and release this garment right here on this side, so this curve isn't stretched or distorted at all, right? So we'll do this right here. And I think that it's a good option to do this pair of shorts from the outside, because they are, it looks like they're flat felled seams. So on the inside, it's hard to tell where the seam is. See that? Because there's the fabric fold. There's no fold there. There's fabric fold here. So just knowing that that's the flat felled seam, and then just reminding myself, okay, I'm going to run my tracing wheel along this edge. So when I do the back, I run it in the same exact spot. So you're nice and consistent. And then you're just going to go for it. You don't have to press really hard usually. I'm using manila so you can see the paper better. Plus I'm getting really low on my white paper. I have more boxes of it, but I hope to eventually find a good home for my wide format plotter, and I want to be able to give them paper to go with it. So sometimes you'll get through these like really thick bits right here. This is probably a zipper pocket or something. Oh, there's a spare button right there. So I'm going to move the spare button. Really, you just need to do like the beginning, the middle, the end if you're having trouble getting anywhere in between. So I'm just going to do that. I'm just tracing the front, not the waistband. Let's see, where have I been here? I haven't been up the inseam. Okay, now I'm going to mark where my zipper and my belt loops are, and the pocket shape and all that. You use them for door stops? How adorable. You have a little, that's so funny. They're not cheap. Okay, so here's my fly. It's a little thick there, so I'm just going to do it away from there. You know, like, I'm going to probably use my own fly pattern, but it's kind of good to know, right? Where this one was at, you never know. Could play a role. This has a pocket here, and then also if you see this, there's an invisible pocket here I have never opened. This is what I'm talking about. When I was in the outdoor industry, I de-engineered a lot of things. I made them much more simple because I was just like, people don't use this, all these bells and whistles. That was my trademark. Simple. All right, so here's our pocket. I will mark the stitching of this pocket for the size and the depth as a reference. That's about it. Oh, let's do our belt loop here, which it always lines up with the pocket from me. All right, so let's see. I think I got everything. So move out your weights out of the way, and let's just look at it before we lift it off. Because look at that. See, I didn't get any dots right here, so it's good I got them right here. It was just too thick. Okay, we've got that. And then I'm going to use a ruler. This hem had a little bit of a curve shape to it. I'm going to keep it and then investigate why the curve is there later. And so I'm just using my ruler to kind of grab these dots right away before I forget, because sometimes you wouldn't have much time to copy something and you would be copying things really quickly, and then they would take the garment to the next department for something, and you wouldn't do this step, and then later on be like, oh shoot, I'm not sure where that was at, you know. So try and do this immediately, piece by piece. My pocket did not transfer either. But it's okay. I don't mind. I can do this too. Go, okay. How long was this shape right here? It was 1.25 inches. And there's dots here and there's dots here. Pretty sure it doesn't dip down that low, so I'm gonna kind of split the difference like this. 1.25, like that. I can see my dots are right there. And then this was the pocket bag underneath. All right, so now we have our front. No seam allowance. Only if I mean, you know, if you were using a really fine fabric, I'd be really careful with the tracing wheel. And in that case, what I would do is take the garment inside out and do it along the raw, they're the, not the raw edges, but the seam allowance edges where you can. Or you're gonna have to do things like this, like lift it up, draw, lift it up, draw. So some of those fabrics, yeah, they're not gonna like the tracing wheel, but no, it's not going to damage it. I've never had one damaged. Hi, Rebecca. Thanks for joining us. So if you're doing a waterproof garment, hi, Lisa. Do not use this on your waterproof garment, okay? For obvious reasons. So I actually follow a couple of the men who sew I follow the men who sew hashtags. I really like it. I really like seeing what a lot of folks on that hashtag are sewing. It's so different. And I follow a couple who are developing, one's developing garments and one of them is developing bags. And it's so hard because I used to work in the outerwear industry at a company that did waterproof breathables, and the wrapping your head around how to engineer a garment, sew a garment, and handle a garment, and finish a garment when it's waterproof is a completely specific set of skills. And I'm not one of those people that I'm gonna say, hey, you're doing that wrong, because you got to kind of figure it out slowly and with failure so it completely sinks in and makes sense. I will definitely say something like, so wait a minute, why are you using this fabric? Because sometimes they may know something I don't, you know. But I do see a lot of people, they will re-sew a seam. You can't do that because every time you put your needle through, you're perforating the fabric. Or they'll design a pocket, and I know by the look of it that it's not waterproof. But people don't think about that either because of the way you have to build in ways to seam seal the piece separate and away from seams. It's really weird. It's really complicated. And it's because I got to work somewhere where we were an authorized Gore-Tex manufacturer, and Gore-Tex puts your garments in this rain room and tests it thoroughly. And we would have, occasionally, we'd have failures and we'd have to figure out why. And sometimes we'd be like, sorry, no, this isn't fail. We've tested it, and we'd resubmit it, and then they'd learn that something had gone wrong in the testing, you know? But that kind of stuff is like really weird. But don't forget that. Don't use pokey things near your waterproofs, because you might have a jacket that you really love and you're like, this thing's falling apart. If you're willing to sacrifice it, fine, but be careful with that. And if you're using fine fabrics, be careful with your tracing wheel. So yeah, good point, Jan. That was a total tangent. Sorry. Let's do the back. All right. I was going to have my tools on the table, but it just really takes up too much space. All right, so how to do the back, because the back is always the tricky one, because the back never lays as flat as the front because of this area right here. So you see how right here, the rise goes towards the front, right? All of this isn't getting covered. So I've developed a few different ways to do this over the years because I too have had those favorite pair of pants that I want to copy. Hi Eileen, how's it going? All right, so I'm gonna button my pants so that they stay stable right there. Doing these inside out might help, but the flat fill seam is a little confusing from the inside, so I'm gonna stay this. Yeah, kids. So let's see. So this is one way. I will smooth it out as best I can. And then I take this little area here and I'm gonna pin it. Or clip it, you can do whatever you want. Clover clips are probably really great for folks dealing with waterproof breathables. Now when I smooth this down, you can see I'm getting these little torque lines. Can you see that right here? It's not torque, it's just because of the way the front is probably sitting on here. So try and get rid of those so you get the most relaxed, smooth fold. So what I really want is this seam here. You can focus on either side, by the way. I don't know why I always go this way, but you could go this way. You could start with this, because this is the harder part to copy, right? So let's do it this way. Let me set you up to succeed. All right, so we will smooth out this part right here. Right, that's way better plan. Look at that, it's nice and flat. And now you're gonna clip this side over here. You're gonna pin it. Like this, okay? Nice and flat. We're going to put a line on our paper as a guide. Make it straight. My lead broke and it's just like keeps catching on this little weird spot on my ruler. All right, so line that up that you pin this edge right here. Line this up there best you can. Try and get it to be a nice straight spot that you're folding. Is there? Oh, there's a dart right here, so it's not going to do that. That's okay. We'll deal with that too. The thing is, like, if you have a pair of anything or any type of clothing that fits really well, it's probably going to be a trickier thing to copy because it has more shaping in it, like darts and things like that, right? All right, so we're getting this nice and flat. This is a tiny bit, like, it's like ballooning right here, and that's just, you know, when they set in this beautiful welt, it stretches the fabric a tiny bit. Remember, this is a stretch woven fabric. It's pretty amazing that it lays flat at all, right? All right, so I'm just pinning all this. I'm making this nice and flat. All right, now I'm gonna line it up to this seam here. I'm really gonna hope that I have enough paper. I don't think I do, to be honest. Let's get a bigger piece of paper before we figure out we don't have a big enough piece. We'll use that for our pockets. I'm gonna put my line back on here. Okay. With pants, your grain line is perpendicular to your hem. Let's get this nice and lined up. We're going to look at why that veers away. It's probably this little dart right here. Nice and flat. All right. And then we're going to copy this. And remember, we want all of this right here to be nice and relaxed on this pant so that this curve can be in its most relaxed state, because that's how it fits us really good, right? We don't want to change it. And that is where a lot of our fit issues are on the seat. It's that little bit there. We rarely adjust the front of the rise when we have fit issues. It's always in the booty. Am I right? All right, let's look and see if I got my line. I did. Great, great. Didn't feel like it went through in a couple spots. All right, so then we're gonna trace this little angle here, and then there's the waist. I'm gonna lift it up because it's too thick right there. If I want to do this back pocket, you're gonna want to transfer that. So I'm gonna get my awl for that, and I'm just gonna kind of put it in the point there. Sorry, I know that'll move the camera. This is another way. Just be really careful with the fabric. All right, let's look around at it. Looks like we got it. Yeah, tummy and booty. Yeah, I mean, I could be using a booty or tummy adjustment as well, but I don't want to. Okay, so let's look at this here. So the dart usually that goes into the back waist right here, it doesn't end at the pocket. It just looks like it ends at the pocket because the pocket's going right through it. But really, this little dart is actually probably about this long. And I mean, look at it. You can actually see it. It is that long. See that? It's just that invisibly you only see it to there. And, you know, you're able to kind of like fake it right there at the pocket. So, hi, Ray. I like that. Or Verona. That reminds me of Romeo and Juliet. Okay, so let's lift up our piece now. You're gonna leave everything as is. Don't touch anything. And you're gonna flip it over. Line up these spots, like the hem to these points here. All this. Just keep it right there. Get this nice and flat, just like this. Keep it relaxed but flat. I'm kind of pulling a little bit to flatten it out. Like that. And now we're going to continue with our tracing wheel. Now, even though these markings, the pocket and the bottom of the pocket are on the front, you can put these on here as guides. Like, okay, when I'm matching up my pattern, this is where I should be at when I'm doing this. Because, like, can you see this little bit of bagginess right here? You know, you're probably going to have to make some adjustments in this seam when you're doing your final pattern. All right, so we're transferring our waist right now. And let's transfer this dart right here. All right, so get our pocket. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's see if we got it. So right here, we're missing a little bit. Are we? Did I just not get close enough? There we go. Okay. So I used to always like rip out all the pins and put the thing away. Don't do that yet. You might need it like this. It is kind of helpful to have it continue to be pinned like that sometimes until you're ready to let it go. So, all right, so let's put in our markings here. Now, if you, I'll hold up my paper so you can see how wiggly the dotted holes are, just so you know that you're not doing anything wrong. Don't you wish people would show you that, like how theirs looks? You know, everybody's an expert and nobody's an expert. That's what I have learned. That's my pocket. You know, this is like one of my personal philosophies is like, you know, people that you see out there doing things, and you're like, wow, how do they make it look so easy? How do they do that? How does theirs look like that when mine doesn't? Especially if it's in a video, it can be edited, right? We know that. And the other thing is like sometimes you're not really seeing it through their eyes. They see they're making those little errors, those micro errors that are no big deal. They're not errors at all. It's just part of the process. So if yours doesn't look like theirs, it might. It actually might. And you're just seeing how polished it is because they've done it so many times. So it's like, so seeing like how wiggly, I don't know if you can see my holes. You can see my line, but I don't know if you can see my holes. These are pretty straight right here. But like, I just have a little dash of holes here, a little dash of holes here and here. And then they get a little wiggly, especially right here. Look at this. Wiggly. And then down. That's okay. Now you're going to measure your pants. So remember, you're transferring the markings of something that the pattern was traced. It wasn't traced the way you and I trace it. It was probably done with a computer and it was printed onto paper. And then maybe a machine cut it and maybe a human cut it with a machine. Big difference. And then it was sewn, right? Then it went to the factory and it was sewn. So there's a lot of little places there could have been error. So just so you aren't too hard on yourself if you're not getting it exactly like this, without taking it apart, it's really hard. And you know, like if someone was really trying to copy something, they would cut out the left and the right, and they would they would take it apart, every single little piece, the left, the right of everything, and then they would compare. So, hi Carol, how's it going? You'll still get lots of good stuff. Welcome. All right, so now we have the base of our shorts, right? That's really all we need. All the rest of this stuff we can actually take the measurements off of on the pant. Like, you really only need 2 pattern pieces for your short. So now we're going to look at some measurements here, right? So let's measure our back rise here. This is another reason why I like these rulers. So that says 12 3/4. So measure all your seams on the seam line. You're not coming this far and not doing all these little steps at the end, you guys. You have to. If you really want to ensure success, right? Well, let's see if I get a total waist here. It's about 9 3/4, right? And then let's just kind of do an overall length here, 17 1/4. And now just kind of, you know, let's take a gander. We've got 8. I have 13 on the bottom hem, where that measures 12 5/8. So let's look at it again. Yeah, 13. So we need to check that one. And then let's look at our side seam here. $15 1/2. Okay, that's okay. We'll take that. Let's look at the overall back booty height. 17 1/4. That looks great. Let's look at the back rise. $13. What do we have here? 13. All right, that's fine. We'll take that, right? 1/4 inch is a big difference with rises, but that's okay. We can fix that. Right, Carol? I know, it's so different being there live. I'll watch tournaments over again, but that's about it. You know. Let's see. What measurement did we didn't check the back waist yet, so let's check it. You can use a tape measure if you like. So I get 9 3/4. Ah, perfect. Okay, so let's look at our hem issue here. That's 3/8 of an inch different. So let's lay down our pattern here. So look at that. That goes way beyond that. Is it because oh, that's funny. All right, so let's retrace this inseam here. That's better. All right, so this is our center back. We didn't check our front yet, right? There's a lot of V's in the chat, huh? Verona for everyone. Okay, so let's look at our front. Now, if you were to trace the front, the right front, it's good to check the left front to make sure that there's no discrepancies. I'm going to unpin this now. We've already checked our measurements. We feel pretty good about them. It was actually a pretty good tracing. Sometimes it doesn't really go that well. Always looking for cherry pie, you know? The other thing I recommend is if you are tracing out the left front, trace out the left back. Stick to the left side of the body or the right side of the body. Don't do the right front and the left back, because then you're going to have to flip it. You're going to have to flip one of your pattern pieces, and it's kind of a pain. You might as well just start off right. So try and think of one side you like. One that can lay the flattest, maybe because it doesn't have a zippered pocket on it. Or, ooh, we're going to measure these. What am I doing here? So we need this to be 8, and the pant does measure 8. But there is a little bit of a curve here. So we're going to do this right here. I usually circle the one that's good on my rough draft pattern. Wait. We're measuring this first. We're measuring our pattern first. Unbiased. Unbiased. That was always the running joke with one of the places I worked. I'd say, I can't get this to measure right. I can't get this to match. And she's like, well, do you want another set of eyes? And I'd be like, yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for measuring out for me. She's like, all right, what are we measuring? I'm like, oh, we're measuring these 3 pieces. Okay, what do you want it to measure? That was always the sly way of going, can I help you out here and get it to measure what you want? Like, are we talking 1/8 of an inch? Because I might be able to make it work out, you know? And that makes it sound like we weren't very accurate, and it was because we were hyper accurate. We were like, it's like 1/16 of an inch too big right here, and I cannot get it. Every time I move it in the computer, it's still staying the same when I print it out. I mean, like, weird stuff like that happens. And, you know, like, you think operating a sewing machine to get your sewing done, it's the same in pattern drafting. You're having to make the computer do what you want it to do. It's different than doing it flat on the table in front of you. And so there was definitely a lot of sympathy from fellow pattern drafters, and they'd be like, what do you want it to measure? So that was our little thing. But we were hyper accurate. That's partly why. We were just beating ourselves up sometimes. Okay, so this is 8 1/4. Wait, I want to measure this. Why do I keep doing this backwards? Okay. So I'm only getting like 8 right here. Let's see. No, I'm getting 8 1/8. Pant measure 8 1/4. I mean, this right here is obviously very suspicious to me, right? I bet it is to you too. 2 5/8. I measured this and I forgot to write it down. So let's do that again. That as well. This is 9 1/4. Oh, I did measure it. Perfect. Okay, this is okay. Wait, did I measure the pant and do that? Oh yeah. This is 9 1/4. We can move this right here. Get a nice right angle. We're gonna smooth that out. But once we know we have our seams kind of the right measurements, we're pretty good. We're doing pretty good. And then we're going to make the front sew to the back. And when you don't have someone like me standing here doing this, it's a lot faster. You know? So 10 1/4. Now see my hem, how it's not straight? That could be because the fabric has relaxed right here. Maybe it's just a sewing error. I haven't worn these a ton to stretch them out really. Yeah, it does look a little like the dips right there. So it's not a style feature. It should be straight across. There's no reason for it to be curved. If it was, it'd be more noticeable. So it's about 10. Oh, I really need to remember to measure this first. And this is measuring 9 5/8. So this time our hem again. This is the right front. So let's measure this one, the left front, the one we traced. Let's see. This one measures 9 3/4. Look at that. It's more spot on. So let's compare the left front to the right front and see. So we're going to line it up on the fold of the flat fell. Let's see. Keep it nice and loose. Yeah, and look at that. It's a fat 1/8 of an inch different. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it is when, like what if the back is the same way, then one leg is smaller than the other. All right, so now we have our short looking pretty good. So now we're gonna true it up, and I'm honestly, like, I trust either one of them pretty good. Usually I tend to feel like at this point I'm trusting one over the other a little more, and then I make that the one that the other one has to match to. So, and in this way I would probably err to the one that's a little tiny bit bigger, because it's easier to, if it's just a little bit bigger, it's easier to fit that to you, correct? If it's a little too small, then you're adding, you know, taking off is a little easier. We're not talking about a whole size, we're talking about 1/8 of an inch at this point. So it's not a big deal. So let's go from the back. The back's always harder. Are the pencil lines showing up good enough for you guys? All right, so we'll start doing it in Sharpie. I never used Sharpie. It is for your mediocre TV. Okay, cool. I'll start doing it in Sharpie. I normally wouldn't even use pen at this. I never use pen. I never use pen for pattern drafting except for writing on here, right here. So just know that it's too unforgiving. Like, all of this is subjective, so why do that? So let's do our seam line, or our grain line first. This isn't like typically, just so you know, how do I describe this? When you're drafting pants from scratch, awesome. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for responding. Hi, Karen. You're watching on Twitch too, Lisa, but commenting on YouTube. That's awesome. Will you say one little thing in Twitch? I'm trying to get my stat up. You can just put like an emote in there. I don't care. Let me describe this. So if you were drafting pants from scratch, this is possible, but there's a lot of fittings that you have to do. But you can draft a pair of pants from the flat pattern using measurements. There you are. And you would have certain like keystone markings on here. You'd have your grain line, your thigh, knee, but you can't chat there. Why? Oh, you need a keyboard. Yeah. You can do it on your phone, Ray, if that works for you. That's what I do. I watch on the Twitch app on the phone. I will watch Twitch on my Roku on my TV, but then chat with my phone. Thanks, Jada Stone. Yeah, see, that's the thing is, like, I need concurrent chatterers and viewers, and it's such a weird thing on Twitch. Easier to achieve than YouTube, though. So you need some certain keystones when you're drafting a pattern from scratch, right? So you would have all those things set up. You'd have your knee line, your thigh line, or your rise, your hip. Yeah, exactly. Thanks, you guys. And you would have those, but because you're doing this in the reverse order, you don't actually know where those are on that pattern, but you can put your own in if you want, but you don't really need them at this point. So what I'm trying to tell you is this grain line wouldn't normally be over here. It would be a little bit more over here on a classically drafted pant. So just so you know. The grain line, the hem line is perpendicular to the grain. So I'm gonna put that in next. Straighten it out, because see, it's a tiny bit crooked. And now we know we need to move that rise a little bit. If you don't want to have to mess around with this whole area here, because this is so touchy, you could just make this longer and deal with it in the out seam. This is when the three-dimensional aspects get a little tricky. You got to pick your poison, what you want to deal with, right? If you're like, I don't care if I lost 1/8 of an inch there, now you just need to make sure that this inseam matches to the front inseam, right? That's all. That's all that happened there. If you don't want to monkey around with this, and I don't, I'm going to leave this as is. It works for me right now. So, all right, so now I'm going to draw in my line here, and I'm going to get a curved ruler. Literally, I have a hip curve. This is it. And you can kind of see this hip is a little bit like, I don't really think that this goes in right here. Usually you got a nice rounded shape here, you know? So let's kind of try and draft that in there. I don't really want it concave. My hips are certainly not concave, so I'm just going to draft this in like this. Like that. Okay, so I still have this little dart to deal with. And then the rise I find really interesting on this pair of pants in that it from here, it looks curved like this. I don't know if you guys can see that. But this back goes like this in the rise. I'm going to kind of straighten that up a little bit. I'm going to split the difference. I'm going to add a tiny bit to my waist and take it out a little bit there. Just straighten it up. If you were to leave that little hump in there and make it on your right back, you'd have a bubble there. Hi, Mommy. Oh my goodness, that's a name. Hi, welcome. The font's so small. Mommy, is that it? All right, so let's put in our inseam. Okay, here we go. Now you guys can see, right? Here's our little dart. We're just gonna draft in this little dart like this. It's a really good example of how the grain line over here, I can see with the dart. I mean, like, the dart looks a little bit funky to me because the point is going to the left, and you would really want this point to be kind of centered. So let's try and correct that. I'm gonna find the middle of my dart here, right here, and I'm gonna try and draw a best I can, like, perpendicular line to this waist, like this, and we'll make it like this. If you don't do the dart kind of balanced like that, you will, it's okay, Megan. You've been running, oh, I wish I was running. If you don't do your dart kind of balanced, then definitely these two legs of the dart have to match each other, and we're gonna work on that. That's not, because I can tell they don't right now. But the other thing is, when you go to sew the dart and you fold your fabric down the middle, and you're lining up this edge to this edge, and then this is your point where you're ending, you've all been there where that dart that is like, it does not want to fold, putting that at the center, then it's a little bit unbalanced. Hi, Sojoy, how's it going? There's a lot of you on Twitch today. I'm so glad. Maybe I'll finally get that one little thing I'm trying to get. It tells me like you have an average of 2.6 viewers. I'm like, what the heck? Awesome. I know, and I really appreciate it. I was watching this gaming streamer and he was talking to people in chat and they were saying they were watching someone else or watching a smaller streamer and they were like, he was like, you know, even if you're not watching them or you're watching a couple people, it's great to have their window, just keep their stream open. It's good for their stats. And I was like, that's so true. You know, like I do that. I do that sometimes. I'll have 2 windows open, but I'm trying to work too, you know. So I'm trying to do that more often. Get those smaller streamers out. Okay, so now we have our short. You know, it doesn't look like exactly like a traditional drafted short, but it's pretty close. And we copied something, and we have a good rough draft. We just need our seam allowance, right? So let's see here. I'll stick with the black Sharpie. So if you want to stick with whatever the original was on the pant, go for it, or whatever your pattern is, or you can add whatever you want, you know. That's awesome, Megan. This time, Eliza, what I did was Eliza asked, for those of you on Twitch, how do I know where to put the grain line? On this pair of pants, if you're talking about like wear going this way, this is where I folded the pant. I folded it like this to be able to trace half of it. And then I flipped it over on this fold and traced the other half. So this was where I kind of continued tracing it because I couldn't lay out the back flat to trace it all in one fell swoop. But on pants, the grain line is perpendicular to the hemline. So you can put it wherever you want. It's not where it would traditionally be. You might get it right, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, I folded it. Yeah, I mean, I did kind of line up the hem here and keep it kind of folded that way. But mainly what I did is I tried to get as big a piece flat as possible of the pant like this. And then I had this all pinned, and that way I could go like this and continue. That's how I did it. And then this line continued nice and straight. But yeah, you could fold on the grain line as well. It doesn't matter if you fold on the grain line or not. You just need to, it just happened that mine ended up being the grain line because it is perpendicular to my hem. It worked out. I didn't really illustrate that, but yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna add the seam allowance I want on these. So I'm going to do a 1 1/4 inch hem. See, you can see why I love this ruler so quick. I'm going to do 1/2 inch on the seams. I like 1/2 inch for wovens myself. If you like 5/8, stick with it. Don't try and do something just because you're like, she likes doing 1/2 inch and she's a pro. Don't copy me because of that. Do what you want. You know? We still need to deal with our dart right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go to about right here, and now I'm going to do the shape of the hem. And so do you guys remember how I did this? So my ruler is so gross right now. Okay, so I'm looking at this line on the ruler. Doesn't matter which one, but I just pick one. And I line it up on the actual hemline right here. And this is 1 1/4 inches, and I'm going to slide my ruler so that when it hits 1 1/4 above this line, which is this piece right here, onto this line. Now it's like a mirror image of it, right? So that's 1 1/4 above, this is 1 1/4 below. And now I know that's the shape. So when it folds up, that point would match to that point. Yeah, see, Jadis uses 1 centimeter seam allowance. Is that like a 1/4 inch? I think that's about, I love 1/4 inch seams. All right, so we'll do the same on this side. So another way to look at it is write your 1/4 inch, 1 1/4 inch hem line right there, 1 1/4 inch. I'm just going to slide this perpendicular, like I'm keeping this line on the ruler on this line here and sliding it to where the ruler lines up with that point. And then now I have my little spot that point would meet to. The other thing you can do, and I used to do this when I was a beginner, is I just folded up my paper. About 3/8. Oh, okay. 3/8 is great too. I don't use 1/4 inch for garments, and I don't use 1/4 inch for wovens. I just use it for bags. Right. It's awesome. It's about 3/8. Okay. Yeah, so, and I'm using a little bit bigger than a centimeter then. Mine's a 1/2 inch. I like 1/2 inch for wovens because I don't have to trim a whole lot off if I use my serger. But if I'm using French seams, I'm using 5/8 of an inch. So that's a 1/4 of an inch more than the 3/8 of an inch or a centimeter. So almost 2 centimeters then, right? It's a little less than 2 centimeters for French seams. I'm talking like I know what I'm talking about with centimeters, and I don't. All right, so let's figure out our dart, and we're gonna cut this out. You may end up having to tape on it later, but you kind of need it to be easy to manipulate at this point for the front. See, this is why I don't like using a Sharpie, is that marker line is too thick. That marker line is almost 1/8 of an inch thick. So I'm like, am I cutting the marker line off? Am I going down the middle? Am I cutting it on the edge of it? You know, so there's too many variables. 1 inch, okay, girl. Oh, it's 2, okay. Yeah, Megan, ooh, that sounds good though. I'm gonna make cookies this weekend. Well, it's my brother's birthday tomorrow. Okay, so I'm gonna leave the waist for now. I'm gonna still figure out my dart, but we're gonna get some of this paper off. All right. All right, so now I'm gonna get a little piece of scrap paper. Well, here's my old insurance booklet. Perfect. I'm gonna transfer this dart to here. It goes, yeah, so the dart gets folded towards the center back. So you want to try and fold it only on the dart, not past, right? This paper's kind of thick. So I'm going to try and not fold it past this point right here. And now I'm going to meet the other side. It's kind of a big dart. It seems like kind of a big dart for a back waist. All right, so now we got it. It actually does match, but we need to smooth this out like this. It's kind of a big dart. I don't really like that. All right, so I'm going to mark this just in case we keep it. So now I have my dart shape, like that. And I'd have to, now that's why I didn't take off of the waist there. Ah, oh gosh, Melanie, I used to have an apple orchard. Oh, that's pretty good, Melanie. That's awesome. You want a big booty dart? Oh, that's all you want for Christmas is a big booty dart? Right? That would be good. it looks smaller here. It's the seam allowance that makes it look a lot bigger, you know, because it swings out here. But that's the actual finished width. And an inch is not that big, you know, for a back dart. They're usually not that big though. So, I mean, they're not that big in general. So we can just leave it. We can always let some of it out. I'm not gonna ignore you. Yeah, you guys do make a good couple with your liquid and length measures. Oh, I'm getting so itchy and my hands are covered in ink. So say you want to make this dart smaller. So say you want to make it 3/4 of an inch. You're going to take 1/4 of an inch off the waist here, going that way. Try not to touch this unless you have gapping at your center back. Then you can taper that. I try and not touch the rise unless you're dealing with a fit issue that exists back there. You don't want to pull your waist seam to the back, so just be careful with that. So you want your waist seam on the side. All right, so now we're going to transfer our dart. To this. Like that. So I feel like it could be a little bit off through here because we had to do so much shaping right here. But that's what muslins are for, you guys. You have to sew a muslin. Don't just think you copied your favorite garment, it's gonna be perfect. I promise. It's not gonna feel the same as your original garment. All right, so here's our dart, and then I'm gonna measure or mark the point. I have a nifty little screw punch. So it puts a hole in the middle of the paper. You can see that. This is kind of a big hole right now. But you can just do mark your center of your hole always, because that hole might get bigger over time. You can just use an awl or a pin or whatever you want, you know. Darts are great though. Such a simple way to shape things. All right, so now we have our back. Looking pretty good. Now let's compare it to our front. So let's straighten out our front hem. Remember that you really want nice seam transitions between your seam junctures here. At places like this, like at centers, you want a right angle. And sometimes it's kind of hard to get a right angle, but when it is a piece that is the exact same pattern piece left and right, you have to have a right angle here because these 2 points are going to sew together, right? So you have it over here as well. Now, if there was a point in it, then you'd get this kind of look at the front or the back, right? If this is just a little bit up, you're going to have an issue. So you really need that center to be on a right angle. There was nothing I really needed to adjust on here, right? I feel like the waist could look a little smoother. What did I do with my hip curve? Rulers are always fit perfectly under your things. So I'm gonna use my hip curve here. Now we're going to look at, let's add our seam allowance, and then we're going to look at our transitions. And then we're going to be able to draft any other patterns that we want. But I won't go overboard with those. Oops, we want 1 1/4, right? 1 1/4? No darts in the front. It's funny how pants can get away with those without darts. Pant block had them though, and they just put it in the waist. All right, so let's figure out our hem shape. So this is the easiest way to do it. 1 1/4, and then that's so funny. And then you're gonna do your perpendicular line this way. You could do this obviously a few different ways. There's not much of a shape. You just want to mark this point up here where this point's going to meet up to when it's sewn. And then I'm just lining it up perpendicular to the hem. Mark it and then continue the line. All right, so now we're going to check our transitions. Try and get your clothes away from all the ink too. All right, so the best way to overlap things is to draw your seam allowance another 1/2 inch. Like I'm going to draw another 1/2 inch right here for a couple inches. And I'm going to line that cut edge up to that so that I know I have the full seam allowance being taken up. And now when you line up your pieces this way, sliding this way, make sure this edge is right on that seam line right there. Not the cut edge, the seam line where it's going to sew to. And then look at this transition. This looks really good. It's a nice smooth transition, right? Nothing looks kind of hinky there, right? So we're good there. And now let's look at this I'm not so worried about. We straightened out our hem, so we should be good there. All right, and then we don't have any drastic side seams like swinging front or back, or any drastic points like this. Because if this was really tapered and you laid it on there and it had a point, you might want to like smooth out the hem a little bit, but in general you don't, because once it's sewn on the body and wrapped around the body, it'll look straight. It's kind of a weird thing. So now let's look at our seam lines and see if they match. So this one is way off by about 1/4 inch. I think we shortened it back here when we made the hem line perpendicular to the grain line, right? So really we should have been lengthening the back, but we're talking about 1/4 inch in the inseam. I'm not too worried about that. So we're going to shorten the back like this. We're going to leave a mark right there. In fact, we're going to use red pen so we remember all these marks here and what they go to. It's hard to see the red. Okay. Now we're going to check our side seam and see if it matches. If anything, it would be really convenient to have it shorter. All right, so measure it, match it up on the seam line. Remember, don't line up your cut edges. Like this is my cut edge right here, right? Cut edge, but we're lining it up on the seam line. So right there's the juncture. I'm going to walk it on the seam line as if we're sewing it. Let's see how we did. It matches perfectly. So now we're going to trim that off right there, which would skew your grain line, by the way. Because we're reverse engineering this, we don't have the benefit of knowing what the original pattern looked like. So now we've changed this here. We need to redraw our 1 1/4 inch seam allowance. Like this. Sometimes if I get confused, I draw arrows to the line that I want to make sure I cut, like this. That's the line. And what would make this a little easier to see on my eye is this, you know, this line right here. And then I'm going to cross this out. Try and make it as easy as possible. Like this is definitely looking like a first pattern, right? So that's the stages of patterns are rough draft or first pattern. That's what they call it. And then final pattern. All right, so let's cut out our front. Now we haven't dealt with our pocket yet. So it says if the pocket is sewn on. So I'm going to show you how to do the side seam pocket. I can show you how to do the welt though too. It's pretty easy. And then the waistband. What time is it? Ooh, it's already 12:30. I might have to do another stream for the other shirt. All right, so I'm looking at my red line. All right, so let's see here. We know how to draft a fly because we did that yesterday, right? So let's just put in our notch where it's going to end. Because this is the left front, not the right front. And now we have our center front. So let's draft some pockets real quick. So let's see if I can use this for both. All right. So what you need is your pocket shape, which goes to the front, right? Like this. And this was the shape that we were given. And this is the finished, so the pocket line right now is the finished size and shape of the pocket line, but it's attached to an edge that has seam allowance already to it, right? So we just need to keep that in mind. Don't forget that, you know? Bye, Louise. Have a great weekend. Yeah, no worries. All right, so this is just the pocket. So in this kind of pocket, there is the pocket bag, and then there's the pocket facing. So if we wanted to put this, we actually could put this on the fold. Let me show you that. Let's put this on the fold. So you only have two pattern pieces. Like this. All right, so let's see. What is the depth of our pocket? This is the front. We'll measure the width of the pocket, and it looks like that's what they, no, that isn't folded, is it? Actually, it is folded. Okay, cool. So it's about 7 inches wide this way, and about 9 inches long. So that's our guide. And you can make it however you want. This is all subjective now. You know, this is your pair. You're like, I always wanted this pair of pants to be, have a bigger pocket. Yeah, awesome, Ray. I don't know if I'll get to doing the shirt today, but we can do a pattern drafting stream on the shirt. I know you guys are more interested in pants, though. That's what I have a feeling, that you guys are more interested in pants. So let's see. I'm going to line this up. Remember I did this little line here of where I want my pocket. Let's see if that's about 7 inches. That's a little further over. Maybe it included the seam allowance there. Ah, Corgis and Coffee, thanks for following. Welcome. We're knocking off a pattern today, meaning we're copying a pattern that we really like. I'm pretending I really like this pair of shorts. I actually really do like this pair of shorts, and I'm kind of glad I'm going to have a pattern of it. All right, so here's my 7-inch. We already did the front and the back, and now I'm just dropping all the little pieces that go with it, like the pockets. So let's see, I'm gonna try and line this up best I can on this fold here, and now I'm gonna trace my shorts on there. And I can see I didn't do it quite straight with the fold, so I wanna straighten this out right here. In fact, let's retrace that. Let's get this nice and perpendicular to the fold here. You have to have a perpendicular fold. All right, so that's what we'll use that as a guide like that. And now I'm feeling for the fold under this mark here because we know that's about where our pocket needs to be. Let's raise it up here, keep it nice and straight. There we go. I'll use a red pin so you can see. This is the line I'm going to be working with right here. Let's transfer our pocket opening on here. Right there. Ah, nice, Karen. Welcome, welcome. How do you make a butt lift? What? And did my mom find a couch? She did. She did. Yeah, but it's going to take 5 or 6 weeks. But she showed me a picture yesterday. I was like, so how did it go? Did that place finally bring out the couch onto the floor? And do you like it? And she's like, well, we didn't. It looked like a waiting room, a couch from a waiting room in a dental office or something. And so I didn't go with it. But we went to another store, which I didn't even know existed. Hey, Pam, how's it going? Oh, I'm sorry, my nose is itchy so much. Yeah, so she did find one. All right, so the red line, this is the pocket I'm drafting right now. Remember, this line and this line have seam allowance already included on it, and I need to add the seam allowance for my pocket, right? So we're gonna add a 1/2 inch down here, whatever you want. And then your pocket opening right here, I'm just gonna add 1/4 inch seam allowance to that, like this. And now I'm gonna cut it out, but I'm gonna cut it out on this whole red perimeter all the way around. So we are, that's okay if you're late. We copied a garment today, and now I'm adding the little details like that go with the garment, like the pockets. So I copied these shorts. So I'm giving you instructions on if you have that favorite pattern in your closet and you wanna copy it, this is how you would do it. So I copied shorts today because we all have pants we like, hopefully, right? I really want to itch my nose, but I have ink all over my hands. All right, so make sure that before you cut right here that this is perpendicular, that you have a right angle. If you don't now, you're just gonna have to true it up later. You know what I'm saying? All right, so when I'm doing folds, I tilt my scissors so that the underblade is canted this way so that the under layer ends up getting cut straight up and down with the top layer. It's just a technique I learned. I staple my paper so it doesn't wiggle. All right. Okay, so now we have our pocket. Let's cut our pocket opening. So now you can copy your garment to be sewn exactly the way they like to sew their things, but what I would recommend is you pick a method that you already know how to do or makes sense to you. So this is why I'm doing this pocket method. I didn't even look to see how they did this. We could completely copy this the way they did it, but this method is probably identical to this. The only thing I'm doing differently is they have a zipper pocket here. I didn't even know this existed until today. I've never opened this pocket. It makes sense now because I've whacked this part on my leg and I've been like, why does that hurt? Like, I know, I probably knew it was there, but you know, it's my pocket, so I just don't use it. But look, you can see that this has a pocket facing right here. That's what I'm going to draft right now. And then what we just did was this mesh inside. Oh, I'm so itchy. Okay, so here's the pocket. And what you're seeing right there is like this piece right here is this piece right here. That's the side seam. This is the center front. So that's that, right? This piece right here is the pocket part that's sewn under right here. Okay? The only reason this is fabric is because there's a pocket right here, another pocket laying on top. So now we're going to do the facing that goes behind here, because if this was mesh like that one, you would see mesh right here, because we're also going to cut this off soon. It's happening. All right, so let's see here. I'm always pulling scraps out of my recycling bin. All right, so thanks for following. What is that? Sick Nasty Hooks. Are you a crocheter? Or do you play Dark Souls? Okay, so I'm gonna like put these little marks right here so that I know I'm gonna line this up on here. And now I'm focusing on the corner of this piece right here. It's good to put your fold line right here because you don't want this facing to extend past that, otherwise it would fold. But I would go like all the way up to it, almost, you know, like an eighth of an inch. You want to do like about 1.5 inches below your pocket opening. You can do more, just something so that this facing covers up whatever your pocket lining is and it doesn't creep out, or DVD. Exactly. All right, so here we go. I'm going to connect that. So now the pattern piece we're thinking about right now, this is the opening, right? This is the pocket facing right here. So in your jeans, when you put your hands in your jeans, it's the part your palm is gliding against as you put your hand in your pocket, right? And usually it's curved. And I'm actually going to curve this one because the curve, if you serge it, is easier to sew if it's curved, rather than having two pieces serged and then you have those weird little serge tails that you got to deal with. Why not just curve it off, put the edges in the seam, and then you can just top stitch this down on top of your pocket. So here, now we have our pocket facing, and I'm going to put all this together so you can see how it's assembled. I don't know why I thought I could do 2 garments today, because if I really want to show you all the little bits that go along with it, you're probably going to need a little more in depth than just me grazing over it, you know? All right, so now let's double check that this is the same. We need to add seam allowance to the front, and this one has it, so we can just copy the exact same shape, right? There we go. See, look at 1/4 inch above that. Now cut it off. All right, your front is done. And this is how it sews. So let's pretend like this is a fabric with hearts all over it. This is the right side of the fabric, right? All right. And our lining also has hearts on it. Not our lining, this is our pocket facing, but you know, it's cut in self. But this is blue stripe lining, right? Trying to decide if I want the stripe to be inside my pocket or if I want it on the outside. You have to finish Twitch like exactly. Okay, so this is a blue stripe. Now, when you're sewing your pockets, it's personal preference whether the right side of the fabric faces on the inside of your pocket or it faces on the outside of your pocket. So if you want to take a cute picture for Instagram, you kind of want the lining to face out. because everybody's, when you see your pants inside out, they're going to see the cute lining, right? But if you like the pleasure of knowing that you have that cute dog print in your pocket and only your pocket change knows it, then you put it to the inside. So it's just a preference. I like it showing out because it shows better in the laundry and I kind of see a little hint of it, you know. So this one right now we just made to show on the inside of the garment. So here we are, we're sewing our pocket together. Here's our pocket facing. We've serged this edge, we line it up, we top stitch it down. Now we have our pocket here and we're going to sew it right sides together, clip the corner, turn to the inside, bloop, like this. And now this is finished, right? It's a 1/4 inch lower because we've sewn our seam. And let's see, I have removable tape for fake sewing. It's perfect for fake sewing. Right? All right, and now we're gonna line all these edges up right here and we're gonna tack it down, and there's our short, right? And then we put our hand inside of our pocket. There we go. So that is how you sew this pocket. Just like on jeans, it's just a different shape. All right, we'll leave our removable tape for any other things. So now we have our pocket. I'm gonna start hole punching my patterns so I don't accidentally recycle them. And so I have this massive hole punch because I use pattern hooks, which we all know I've lost the entire bag of when I moved here. In my front. And then I just hang them on like a clothing rack, just like that, with pattern hooks. I don't have. All right, so what other pattern pieces do we need? We need our waistband. This is what happens. I start migrating over like this, and then I have to go. That's the technical way you do that. All right, so we have, what are we missing? We need our fly, our waistband, and if we would like a welt pocket on the back. Welt pockets are really easy to draft. They're just hard to sew. So we'll do the welt pocket real quick. Now we marked our welt pocket right here. You see that? Let's see how long it is. This looks kind of big. 6 inches. No, that's great. I find a lot of welt pockets are too small, you know. So let's see. We have our markings here. So let's connect this box. Now, if you have a favorite way to sew a welt pocket and you're a little scared, you're like, oh my gosh, my favorite garment is, I feel betrayed now. It has an element on there I don't like sewing, but I know how to sew it in this one way. Make the pattern pieces match the way you like to sew it. There's no rule here, right? You're making your favorite pair of pants. So there's your welt. That's all you do for this pattern piece. That's it. You just draw on the finished box. And then for the pattern pieces, like this is a pretty nice one. Look at this. It goes, drops down. They even, oh, interesting. Oh, look at that. It's only half sewn right here. Snazzy. I never noticed that either. Can you guys see that? It's stitched right here and that's it. It's a little design element. So they, which is nice because it holds down the pocket. But what's really nice also about this is that this goes up to the waistband. So if we try and look in here, we can see that the top pocket is made of mesh. The under pocket is made of the nylon, and that is what goes up to the waist. So this is, and there's raw edges in there, you know. I don't recommend, if you're really curious about how to sew something and it's something like this and you look at that and you're like, dang, that's really precise. I don't recommend trying to mimic the sewing of some of these things because they were probably sewn using a specialized machine that did it. and it's not a way that you're probably going to be able to mimic with the same results. So just be careful with what you pick and choose to try and mimic, you know. I'm a big fan and a huge advocate of looking in your closet and going, how did they do this and how can I do this? Because I've done that for years and it really works. But some of these really specialized things, you know, like if you bought these shorts for $20, I paid more than that for these probably. This was done on like a machine in a mass scale, you know, a machine where no human was standing there. They just set it up and then walked away. So, yeah, I would put in a welt pocket that you know how to do. And basically, what you're gonna do, you don't even need this. You just need to know how big you want your pocket to be, basically. And then you need to make an under pocket. And so let's see here. That opening is 6 inches wide. So making it about a 1/2 inch pass is pretty standard. Let's see what they do. Yeah, look at that. It's a 1/2 inch pass. So we'll try and do something similar. So we need to be 7 inches wide. I haven't drafted a welt pocket in a really long time, so, but I've sewn one recently. Let's make sure this is 7. So you want a squared square, and you also want it to be as deep as you want. So here we go. Let's straighten this line out over here a little bit. So I'm just going to make this 7 by 7. And this one is going to be the under pocket. Under pocket. Oops, spelled pocket wrong. Spelled like pocket. Okay, so the under pocket is the one that is closer to your body. So if you're looking at the pocket, the top pocket is literally the layer of pocket that's up towards the top, and then the under pocket lays against your body. That's the way to look at that. And then that one is usually it's like, so this is the under pocket, right? It's sewing to here in this seam right here, and then your top pocket is going to be, you know, I would do it, it's gonna go past this opening here. I would do it about 1 inch above that. And then they will line up at the bottom. Hopefully, if everything sews really well and your seam allowance is all worked out and, you know, the sewing fairy was really nice to you that day, it'll still line up at the bottom, you know. So I personally would go about 1 inch above this opening here. So in this case, that is about 1 1/4 inches above the under pocket. So we can just cut these two out at the same time. We'll do a 1 1/4 inch line here. And we just still need to just draft the welt, which is just a rectangle. I'm gonna cut them both out at the same time. All right. You guys are really quiet. You always make me nervous when you're really quiet. I don't know if you're like, this is like so too much, or if you're taking notes. All right, so let's take out my staples. Under pocket, top pocket, and then you need a welt, which is twice this opening plus your seam allowance. Oh, awesome. Okay. So if your welts are usually a 1/2 inch right here. You can make them taller, but you're gonna see like that mostly on like front pockets of coats and things like that. Oh, yeah, Ray. I've totally done that. Liza, that's hilarious. Well, you totally could be shopping and then telling me, yeah, we're paying attention, Jeremy. I totally shop when I'm watching for streams. So, okay. So this is a 6-inch finished opening. You need a 1/4 inch past each end. So now it's 6.5 inches wide for the pattern piece, or long, I should say. And then it's a 1/2 inch opening. So you need a 1/2 inch, a 1/2 inch, and then you need a 1/4 and a 1/4. So another 1/2 inch. So it's 1.5 inches wide by 6.5 inches long for your belt. And I just like drafting it like this then, you know, it's easier. 1.5 by 6.5. One and a half by 6.5. And this is all in inches. All right, so there's my welt. I'm not gonna cut this piece out for no reason except that I'm just trying to save time. And also these littler pieces, when I cut a hole in them, sometimes they get a little narrow. It actually works. This was fine, but All right. So that's our welt pocket. That's a very basic welt pocket. Oh, and the grain lines would go this way. Sorry, I didn't even do the grain lines. You can tell I'm getting hungry. I'm like, where can I cut corners? Yeah, right, still alive? You guys still there? Hello? I don't ever check if the viewers are still there. That would just stress me out by doing that, so I just don't. I just want you to know, for any of those people out there that are like in the world of pattern drafting, I haven't been really talking about marker color, because marker color is actually kind of a big deal when you're drafting flat patterns. So because I did all of this in black, that means in the pattern drafting world that that's all self fabric, which isn't the case. These two would be in blue, in lining fabric, and you can put a, so what you can do is, yeah, so this is lining, right? Because this is the pocket piece that's between the short and the under pocket. And this is the one against your body. Now, if you do this one in self, you don't have to add a facing to it. But remember, the opening of the pocket's right here. If you really wanted to be classy, you would put a facing right here. You could do this in lining and put a facing, or just do this in self fabric. Yeah, right? Exactly, Jan. Yeah. Still alive? Still alive? Yeah, we're live, Eileen. Is that what you're looking for? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't expect you guys to remember this. I'm just trying to make it entertaining enough so that when you, so you still want to watch right now. This is the kind of stuff I get really into. All right, so we've got our back. We've got our front. We've got a piece of removable tape that's Rogue. So let's get rid of all these little pieces here. For your waistband, you're going to need your pocket lining and your front and your back. I really wish I could find my pattern hooks. It's making me so sad that I can't find them because I don't want to buy any more. So thanks for following, Peachy Keen. That's cute. I like that. I'm live on both Twitch and YouTube. I'm talking to a lot of people on both right now. So, or I have imaginary friends. You never know. Okay, so we're just going to draft our waistband here. That's pretty much it for these, except for the fly. Look at, they always put a little cute thing here. Be yourself everywhere. So let's look at how this waistband is constructed. It is in 2 pieces. Look at that. You see that? It's just folded right there. Ooh, I love looking at shortcuts. Is the whole waistband in 1 piece? It is. Cool, because sometimes waistbands, they will put a seam right here. This one has the drawstring on the inside. I never use that. It's always in the way, so I won't draft the buttonhole. But essentially, this is elastic as well. Actually, maybe I should steal this elastic for another project. All right, so what I would do is just measure this waistband. Go, okay. It finishes 1 5/8 of an inch wide. And then I would measure my waistline. We still haven't made our zipper fly, so that needs to be accounted for the length of the waistband, right? Oh, I know, Aileen. Yeah, I mean, someday it would be interesting to shift the schedule. The thing is, like, if I shift the schedule so maybe people can watch in the evenings, they're going to be making dinner or they're sleeping, right? Because we have a lot of people from Europe. It's so hard picking a time. So I decided, this sounds really selfish, but I decided to make it as easy as possible for me to be really consistent. And that's why I do 11 a.m. Because I would much rather be done a little earlier in the day. But starting a little earlier is a little dicey. You just never know what kind of drama is going to unfold at my house with an animal or a kid, you know, before I go. Because I'm the one that kind of, you know, I'm the ringleader for those kinds of things. So, because it can be a circus. Now I only have one kid. She's easy now. All right, so my fly shield is 1 1/4 inches wide finished. This is the one we drafted that with the angle, and it's on the fold, right? So we can do that real quick. So our fly shield is 1 1/4 inches wide plus the seam allowance. So we'll add the 1/2 inch there. We didn't draft this pattern to have the fly built onto it, but I think we should. So I can add it to the pattern piece. And I think this is like 5 inches long. Let's check. Yeah, so it's 4 3/4 at the short end, and then it tapers down. So we'll make it 5 1/4 because we need a 1/2 inch up here. So we've got a 1/2 inch. We have our 4 3/4 and a 1/2 inch. And then down here, we're going to make it a 1/2 inch longer. I'm just throwing numbers at you guys, but basically you need a little like taper here. You can make it as steep or shallow as you want. Once you've sewn a few flies, you might start having your own preferences. For now, I would just do what you're comfortable doing, because once you start kind of removing all those like uncertainty and variables, it gets a little easier to decide what you like and what you don't like. I'm in the same boat, you know. It's like, I actually don't know what I want yet. I want someone else to do it. That's what I want. All right, so let's look at this. Is this, this is a separate fly. There's a seam right there. Totally possible. I like the all-in-one that we drafted yesterday. So let's just do that. Let's just add it. Let's see. That is only on the left front, right? It's only on the right front. No. No, it's only on the left front. Yeah. I think I may have shown you on the right front yesterday, Jan. So let's see here. We'll tape this on here. I'm only showing you this method because this is the way, the video I have on how to sew a fly zipper really easily. These are the pattern pieces that you would use for that. I'm gonna go out 1 1/4 inches here. very bad taste to tape your pattern pieces together, but on first patterns you get a pass. Doesn't matter. Just reinforce this little guy here, make sure it's all okay. Oh yeah, that's good, that's good, that's good. All right, so you need a notch up here at the top telling you that this is the center front and that would be the fold line of your fly. So don't forget that. It's at the seam line and this is your fly when you fold it back. This piece is your fly shield. You need one of those. And this is what you're going to need to figure out your waistband. Alright, so we have our front. We've measured this before, right? Make it exactly. That's exactly what you should do. Always make it easier for yourself. Absolutely. I do it for myself all the time. I sometimes make it harder so just in case you guys are coming across the exact same like step and it's kind of hard. And I don't really want to leave you high and dry, but I have to admit there's a lot of times I'm like, ah, shoot, this is not the way I would do this, but I know some companies like doing it this way and I'm not very good at sewing that and I've only done it once or twice and I decided I hated it, so I do it a different way. But I don't want to leave you guys out there going, I don't know how to do this. You never show me how to do it this way, you know? So, all right, so here's our we're not going to include this as our waistband. We're going to go to the notch, around. You're going to subtract your dart, all your seam allowances. You can take this measurement to here, double it, and then add your fly shield, and that is your waistband length plus seam allowance, right? So let's figure that out. All right, so skip the dart. 10 5/8 there. So that means I'm gonna put it right there. There we go. There's 18. 19 and an eighth. 19, 20 and 3/4. Wait. Here it is, right here. 19, 20 and 3/8. So my waist is actually no. This is all you always write your 18 there. 18, so you have 18, 19 and an eighth plus, this is my left front, 19 and an eighth. And then my right front would be 20 and a quarter. So that is 39 and 3/8 of an inch plus a ½ inch on each end. So 39 and 3/8, 40 and 3/8. So the waistband, sometimes I only write my measurement on my pattern pieces so I don't have to draft these really long pieces. 40 and 3/8 by, what was the width again? It's 1 5/8, so 2 and an eighth. 1 5/8, 2 5/8. Oh my God. Can I add 1 plus 2? Might be lunchtime. So that would be my waistband for this. All right. For your carriers, what are belt loops? Sorry, I call them carriers. These guys right here. You can just make a really long piece of fabric that is about 1.5 inches wide, and then you need them to be long enough so that your belt can go through if you're going to wear a belt. Just leave them off if you don't want them. I don't wear a belt with my shorts. So you could just leave them off, but if you're going to put a belt in here, you need room for the belt plus room to stitch down each carrier. So, or belt loop. These are 2 1/4. That's a really standard amount, 2 1/4 finished, plus the seam allowance. You need at least like 1/4 inch at each one, something like that, you know, like you want to secure it. So just be, you know, a little cognizant of that. This one, this is actually sewn the way I like it sewn, where the belt loop right here goes into the waistband. And so what you do is pretend that this isn't sewn here and this is loose. You sew your waistband, you attach your carriers everywhere where you want them, put your waistband on, stitch these down, like fold them up, stitch them down where you want, and then stitch them down here. I really like that method. It just means you need a long carrier to deal with, because this one would end up being four inches long per carrier by 1.5 inches wide. So if you wanted to do it that style, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you'd need 24 inches by 1.5 inches wide for belt loops. 6 total. Cut 1.5 inches by 24 inches. That's everything. Now you just need to sew it to look just like it. That's the tricky part, right? So remember, you got to be really forgiving on yourself when you go to sew the garment that you copied, because you might not have access to the exact same fabric. You may need to accommodate that your garment may be a little bit stretched out from wearing it over the years, especially in those curvy, bony spots, you know, like your hips and your bum, your booty. And then take into account your own expertise in sewing that type of garment. So cut yourself a lot of slack and make a muslin and try it out in something kind of similar. This was a stretch woven. You can find stretch wovens. Just go to a store that specializes in garment fabrics, you know, and the internet's making that really easy. So any questions? So my name is Sarah, and this is my 1 year, tomorrow is my 1 year anniversary live streaming, and I really loved it, so thank you. And thank you so much for all the support you guys have been giving me. You've been giving me Patreon subscriptions and donations, and sending me really nice notes and messages. I really appreciate that. It really makes me feel, because I do have a lot of days where I'm like, what am I doing this for? This is crazy. But I really, really like it. It's 100. I had 100 uploads, and it's my 1 year anniversary. And if you're interested in like past projects we've made quite a bit in the last year, you can check out my website, soso.live. It's there. It's in an abbreviated format. You can look at each project. All of the links to the videos are there, because YouTube is a little funky to navigate. And I'm going to be recording a new intro video for this. Yeah, thanks you guys. Have a great weekend, you too. And for the giveaway, today's the last day to enter my giveaway for this week. We're having a giveaway every week this month to celebrate my 1 year. We had some gifts from Hearts Fabric, and I've supplied some things. And next week is our last giveaway. So you can enter by midnight tonight Pacific time. Right now it is 1 p.m. And we have a nice little assortment of things. This measuring tape that sticks to any surface. The Sasha jeans pattern, trousers by Closet Case Patterns. You get one of my Chicken Boots Notions cases here. A clear window. Hearts Fabric enamel pin in a tomato. A Clover seam rippers, the one I love using. Some really nice top stitching needles. And a little kit so you can try out rivets and tack buttons on your next or first pair of jeans, because it really gives it that look. Even if your jeans turn out a little funky, add these to them and they will look so professional. So, and it's in a copper color, so they're really pretty. Dipped into my own stash for this because I have a bunch of these. So thanks, Eliza. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. I'm 100 exactly. Thanks, you guys. You guys are really awesome. I really appreciate it. I know that I'm not like cute and 30 years old or polished. I don't wear makeup. I don't dye my hair. I'm just here for the experience and to pass on the knowledge and to make you guys really confident about sewing and trying things out and just give it a try, you know, like nothing's a failure if you learn from something, like it, you know, doing it. So cliche, but so true. So in the for the giveaway, I want you to comment on the uploaded video, any video from this week. So that would be, did we sew knits this week? Dang, I already blocked that out. So we cut the Monetta and the Lindens on Tuesday. We sewed the Monetta on Wednesday. We sewed the Lindens on Thursday. Yesterday we altered patterns. Today we copied patterns. So any one of those videos this week, just want you to tell me one of your biggest sewing aspirations or loftiest goal. Or if you've just achieved that, let me know. We want to see and hear about it. Awesome. Thanks, you guys. So I want to hear one of your most biggest goals for sewing, even if it's something really simple. And I'm going to pick a winner tomorrow or Monday. And I will see you guys not till Wednesday. Thanks, Rosla. That's what I'm going for. So that's awesome, Jan. I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you, Eileen. Yeah, I love the rest of the community too. I feel like keeping it positive, keeping it real is where it's at, right? We're all in this together. And all abilities of sewing are welcome here. All people are welcome here, no matter what you look like, what size you are, what color you are, what you aspire to be. So, to be cute and 30, right? But I got brains in my head and I really like those. So, I know. So, I am kind of like, we're doing the ash jeans. Let me show you the pattern. I also forgot to show you some of the things I bought. So I'll show you those in a second. But we're doing the Ash Jeans by Megan Nielsen Patterns. This was one of my Needle Sharp subscription boxes. So I'm making my way through those. I got cute flamingo pockets. Look at all these. I'm always got the Rifle Paper Company fabrics, don't I? And then some stretch denim. Really stretchy. Rare. I think it's black. Never made these before. They look really cute. I can really smell that denim though. But okay, so I know that you guys are all like, what? How does she not know how to sew? And we are what, Jan? Yeah. I don't know what you guys are saying. So I don't know how to sew everything, and so I've signed up for a class at my local fabric store because I follow this gal on Instagram and she does something called FPP. I've heard that term before. I know what it stands for. But when I saw the videos of her doing it, I was like, I just don't know what you're doing. I cannot understand this. So I signed up to take the class. It was this whole long thing. I don't know. I never got told what the supply list was, so I missed it. And so then she called and said, look, I'm teaching it again. I'm just going to carry over your class fee, which was really nice because it was totally my fault that I missed it. And I bought the supplies, and check out what I got. I just went all in, you guys. I've already spent so much on this class. So I got the book. It's called Intentional Piecing. But look at this cool little ruler I got. The quilting tools and supplies are so amazing. So it's got this little lip and edge. Like, I'm looking at how you use it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't get that. So I'm really excited to learn all these skills. I got a glue pen. I can't even believe I'm even considering putting glue on my fabric. I got printable translucent vellum paper. But look at this thing. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. I had to buy that. That was a splurge. It was expensive, but this will be great at my sewing machine, you guys. You know, when I'm like doing little cuts with you guys and I have very little room. But I got this as well. So I'm pretty excited. Yeah, I was good in geometry. I like math. Yeah, the turning mats are really cool. So I'm pretty excited about taking this class. It's in September. And if any of you are local to me and you're interested in taking a class from me, I am starting to teach classes at my fabric store, and this one coming up at the end of this week is the tamarack jacket. Oh, FPP stands for Foundation Paper Piecing. So the class I'm taking, I'm obsessed with peeling this tape right off right now. The class I'm taking is called Tell Me a Story Quilt. So you can look at the hashtag, Tell Me a Story. French paper piecing. Yeah, did I say foundation paper piecing? French paper piecing. Okay. I know Pam, hey Madre, is sitting there going, oh my God. So I'm pretty excited. So, anywho, I'm not aspiring to become a quilter, but I really love all the techniques that they use, and they're a mystery to me, and I'm so excited to learn something new. Even though you guys teach me things all the time. So that's it. That's all my good stuff today. This is my splurge for the month. I'm going to learn something new, and I'm so excited. Sometimes also called French, but not sure why it is done on foundation paper. I don't know. I even bought Thangles once, and I've never opened. I opened the package, and I was like, why did I buy these? I have no idea how to use these. I should just bring them to that class and give them to someone. So, all right, you guys. Well, don't forget to enter the giveaway. And I like it's so white. I'm just gonna put stuff on there. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. I will see you on Tuesday, unless I surprise stream before that, because I have withdrawals of you guys. Wait. You're thinking about when you mentioned creating a block pattern. Oh, okay, yeah. You guys, I'm really excited to see how you guys responded to my little idea of doing the selling a block that's pretty affordable, and then we all like custom make them to ourselves, and then we manipulate the pattern into other things. It's always been a dream for me to do that. Workshop. I kind of like the worship. No, I'm just teasing. Yeah, so that's great to know. So, yeah, I'm just trying to refine my teaching techniques. I've never really taught this kind of thing, so I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm really excited about that. And so once the chicken boots patterns are kind of getting a little bit more close, I'm gonna definitely do that. So just let me learn how to teach. Let me learn how to teach. That's why I took this class. I wanted to take a class from someone there to see how they go about teaching a class there, and then I missed it before my class. Then I had to teach it without ever having one there, so it was kind of funny. All right, guys, well, have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you next week. I will post next week's schedule on Instagram on Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll talk about these jeans, back to normal schedule, boo-hoo. And yeah, all things wonderful, right? All right, bye guys, take care, have a great weekend, and I will see you soon. Hasta mañana, iguanas, but I won't see you tomorrow. Hasta la semana, iguanas. Toodles. Bye, Surika. I always love your little purple heart at the end there. You're lurking there, I love it. All right, take care guys, bye.